Hello, everybody. Intuition here. Thank you, as always, for making time and space for us. Today, we would like to discuss how to get to where it is that is necessary for you to get to. We halt to say your destiny because that is a little gratuitous, because you make your own destiny depending on the things that you engage in. However, what we will say is there are spiritual checkpoints, evolutionary checkpoints that you may want to get to if you want to continue to evolve and expand into all it is that you know yourself to be. So that when you get to the end of this life, so to speak, there's a possibility that you don't have to come back because you've expanded in your consciousness of self so much that you are able to ascend, transcend in what it is that you know, as opposed to having to come back and have a better head start than last time. So there are checkpoints, so to speak, to level yourself up in your understanding and evolution of self that are designated for each and every single one of us. And those checkpoints are experiences, those are places, those are spaces, those are individuals that you meet. And they are highly individualistic and specific to you based on what it is that you need in order for you to remember all it is that you are, the truth of who it is that you are, not the personality construct, not what society told you, not what you have been indoctrinated into, what you actually are. So in order to get to that point, evolutionary wise, and level up within yourself, lighten up within yourself, become enlightened, there are places and spaces that are recommendations for you to get to that will allow you to have an easier time in that ascension to all it is that you are. So, it is important first and foremost to know that there are checkpoints that are built in for you to either get to or not get to. And if you get to them, you'll have an easier time in understanding all it is that you are and your purpose here and your destiny and what your passions are and all of that crap. But if you don't get to them, which a lot of people don't, then that is when you start to feel, I'm going nowhere in my life. I don't really understand what I'm here for. What is my purpose? There is no passions for me. There is no excitement. I lack the fuel that's needed in order for me to feel that joy. So, should you feel motivated to get to these checkpoints, these are some tools to get to them. Those tools are, first and foremost, you're going to love this one. We can intuit it already. You always know where it is that you need to go. So this is, again, a nice quick reminder. We all have a built-in GPS system, again, that is telling us exactly where it is that we need to go. The problem is, or more, the question is, are you listening to what the GPS system is saying? And it is hard to listen to it sometimes because there is so much outside noise that interferes with the GPS system telling you the coordinates in which you need to be able to start driving towards. If you put in coordinates to the destination, but there are 50 people inside the car screaming at the same time, you're probably not going to hear that GPS system. And that is the same thing with what is going on in our daily life. The GPS system, the knowing of all it is that we are, is speaking to us at all times, telling us, take a left here. Maybe don't go towards that person with the knife. Oh, geez, that person that we're dating seems similar to our mother. However, do we hear it? Generally not, because we're too busy hearing society. We're too busy hearing the environment, the circumstances, our feelings, our personality. All of that is inundating us in our experience and not allowing us to hear the inherent knowing that is, again, guiding us and telling us, please, maybe not this. Please, take a left. We see that you missed the last left. Let us remind you, you still need to take a left. So the first part in getting to where it is that is important for you to get to in order for you to evolve spiritually, evolve in all it is that you are, is simply by quieting the noise so that you could actually hear what is being told to you. Now, when you're able to quiet the noise and hear what it is that's being told to you, there's another caveat that happens. And that caveat is, well, now that I hear it, it just doesn't make sense. It's saying that I need to move to Alaska. Well, why? That doesn't make sense. I have lived in Florida my whole life. I've never left Florida. Why would I move to Alaska? Crazy. I'm not saying that it doesn't resonate with me, but it just doesn't fit what I've told myself and identified myself as being. How I've identified myself since day one is just a Florida native. I just live in Florida and I've never left the state, and that's how I identify myself. That's so outside of my personality construct. It sounds good, but I don't know anything about Alaska. So that is the next issue that we face. Once you quiet the noise, you start actually hearing what's being said, but because it doesn't really make sense with the other aspects of yourself that you've already identified with, you still don't listen. Because that doesn't coalesce with what you know about yourself. So that is something to be aware of, because you don't necessarily need to know why it's happening in order for it to happen. You don't necessarily know why the sun comes up every day. It just comes up. You don't need to know, well, it is going down in the sky because of the trajectory of the earth and the way that it spins, and it's spinning on a 360 axis. You don't need to know all of that crap in order for you to simply know, yes, the sun is going to come up. I don't need to do anything to know that the sun is going to come up. I don't need to know the scientific explanation as to why the sun is coming up. I just know that the sun is going to come up. And that doesn't scare me that the sun is going to come up. I'm not going to try and fight the fact that the sun is coming up. I'm just going to plan accordingly with the idea that the sun is going to come up. And the same with these knowings that it is that we receive. Interesting. Alaska. That's new. Well, I know Alaska. I'm not going to fight Alaska. I'm not going to try and understand the ramifications of Alaska, how it does or doesn't fit with my personality construct and who I've identified myself to be. I'm just going to say, okay, Alaska. Cool. It's different. So that is the second step. Let's say that you pass all those steps. Let's say I've quieted the noise and I accept what it is that's being told to me. Fantastic. The last issue that we face in that is that you've accepted it, you've heard the message, but now I'm going to force it to happen. I'm going to force it to happen because I don't know how it's going to happen. Because I don't know how it's going to happen, I feel like I need to force it into being. Because I have to know, I have to have some sense of control. I already don't feel like I have control because I'm being told, so to speak, that I'm moving to Alaska. And that's outside of the construct of what it is that I know based off of my belief system that's regimented in the past. So now I know that I need to be there, but I don't know how to get there. And now I'm scared. So now I'm going to force this into happening. And the issue with that is that when we start forcing something that we know is going to happen into happening, two things happen, which is it either happens, but it's not a complete closure of it actually happening. So you move to Alaska. But because you forced it into being, as opposed to being led by the experience, you led the experience, certain aspects of the plan that would have been in place should you have just been led by the experience are not there to safeguard against some of the issues that you might experience in your move to Alaska. Because you forced it as opposed to standing in your knowing. So that's one possibility. I forced it into happening, and because I forced it in such a way, it didn't unfold in exactly the way that it needed to in order to lead me into a successful transition from one aspect of myself and understanding to another. Another possibility is that it doesn't happen at all. Because you are so particular about how it needs to happen, you become so lost in the details that you simply lose yourself in the details. And that is the only place that you actually end up going. Not the actual physical place of Alaska, but the details of how you'll get to Alaska. And because the details don't match up, because it's not fitting your plan, because you haven't saved enough money yet, because JoJo hasn't also moved to Alaska, then you will never go. which is a shame. Not because you didn't actually get to the place, but because this is what you decided on some level that you needed in order to level up in your understanding of self. And if you don't get there, then what it is that you're saying is, no, I don't really want to evolve. I know better. And what's better is doing the same routine over and over again, not listening to my internal GPS system, just going around and around in a circle around the neighborhood. That's it. And that's okay. But that's not necessarily what you thought you needed in the past before you came through in a physical form. So, food for thought. Do with that what you will. Only tools to potentially help you get to where it is that you have already made a checkpoint for. If you're playing a game, you might as well get to the save point in your game. You don't do all this work in your video game just to pull the plug and then have to redo all the work again. You play the video game, you get to a save point, and then you say, now I can rest. Because I know when I start playing the game again, I'll be in a perfect place to start expanding on what it is that I've already accumulated with regards to the experience points and the powers that I've been able to ascertain from playing it up until this point. So, as always, we're full of gratitude for you making time and space for us, and we wish you well playing this game of life and getting to these checkpoints that you have placed for yourself. So might as well get there. Well wishes.